Hey guys, what's going on? This is the Conservative speaking, and I wanted to talk about the latest incident about a police officer being heavily scrutinized for failing to save a man who voluntarily decided to jump into and swim into a reservoir, and the man struggling to stay above surface, ultimately drowning. And the reason why I decided to speak on this latest event is for the simple fact that the police officer was scrutinized for not jumping in and trying to save a man who ultimately voluntarily decided to jump into a reservoir and swim deep into a reservoir, and ultimately drowning, blatantly disregarding or having a disregard about his life, and the police officer having to pick and choose whether or not he should risk his life to save the life of a person who had no disregard for his own life. And my personal opinion about the whole matter is bravo for that police officer. As a matter of fact, I would love to give a round of applause for that police officer, because I would have done the same thing as well. If you do not care too much about your life, and you're willing to risk your own life over a stupid decision that you chose to make on your very own merit, then why should someone else should have to risk their life to save yours? Basically what the conclusion that I'm trying to come at is, why should somebody else choose to risk their own life to save one who doesn't have any disregard for their own? Excuse me. I mean, it doesn't really make any sense at all, especially considering that police officer probably has a family to go home to, has a wife to go home to, has children to go home to, and if not, that officer has a family that he belongs to. So why should he have to risk his life? I mean, to try to save someone else's life who has a complete disregard of their very own life, especially considering that the police officer probably would have drowned along with that person. So ultimately, you would have had two people drowning and nobody being able to be rescued in that particular matter. The police officer did a great job by assessing the situation and realizing that, hey, maybe it's just not worth me risking my life and trying to rescue a man when ultimately we can both wind up drowning doing so. So ultimately, this man decided to jump into the reservoir and swim deep into the reservoir without any hope of him being alive doing so. So look, you can be the judge by reviewing this clip that I'm getting ready to show you on for your own pleasure, and then you can be able to make the decision as of whether or not the police officer made the right move. So without further ado, let's roll it. Let's roll the clip so we'll be able to view this together, and then you can decide whether or not the police officer made the right move.
Sorry, guys. What? I'm sorry. Where you going? Huh?
Sorry guys, I had to play it back.
What are you doing, my friend? Huh?
There he goes.
What are you doing?
I gotta go for a swim. Alright, I'm free to go, right? You can't swim in the lake, man. I'm free to go, right?
You're not allowed to swim in the lake.
Okay, so clearly you can see right there the police officer gives him a fair warning, telling him that he's not allowed to swim in the lake. And this person, as you're going to see, this person disregards the police officer's orders and chooses to swim in the lake anyway. There he is. Officer's just sitting back there watching him, observing.
How far do you think he's going to be able to swim?
You gotta keep an eye.
Yeah.
Well, you guys got to stay here in case he gets out. I'll get that to get here with the boat. Alright.
You know, I find this funny that despite the fact that this man voluntarily chose to commit a dangerous act by swimming in the lake, no protective gear at all. He chose to swim in the lake, to swim deep in the lake, knowing the fact that by doing so he could potentially drown. That even still, the police officer is still somehow responsible for saving this man's life. What a world we live in. This man made a decision to swim in the lake, swim deep in the lake, all on his own. All right, knowing the fact that he could potentially drown doing so, and then if he didn't know, he should have known. I mean, common sense could tell you that. And yet the police officer somehow is still responsible for this man's life. Complete BS. Complete BS.
Pipe 12, the subject that Pipe 11 was running was jumped in the lake and was trying to swim away.
Okay, my mistake, guys. I stated that it was a reservoir. It's actually a lake.
Pretty sure there's like turbines at the base of the dam that can suck it into the
That is just amazing. I'm sorry, guys. Hold on 1 second. Guys, that is just amazing. It's amazing that this type of thing that this type of thing happens, and yet police officers would be scrutinized by this guy deciding to hold on 1 second. I'm sorry people. Hold on 1 second. No. I wanted to pause this. All right, cool. All right. Yeah, I mean, I just find it amazing. I just find it I find it very astonishing that a police officer should be scrutinized for not going in and wanting to help a man who clearly had no disregard for his very own life. Why should we as human beings be responsible for other people's welfare. This is the United States of America. This is a free country, and you are free to do whatever you want. This man chose to throw away his life by committing a stupid act. Okay, then he got what was coming to him. Why should a police officer be responsible for someone else wanting to end their own life? I mean, did the man not know by doing this that he could potentially drown and take his own life? If he didn't know that, well, too bad. He should have known that. Police officers, nor should any other human being be responsible for somebody else's life or welfare. If you choose to take your own life, then that's on you. All right? And you're the one that's going to have to answer to your maker. But us as individuals, especially as U.S. individuals, we are not responsible for other people's welfare. All right? If we choose to help you, that's our choice. But if we choose not to help you, that should be our choice as well. No one should be responsible for other people's welfare. If a person chooses to want to end their own lives, so be it. Let them do it. They volunteered to do it. Okay. No sweat on my brow. I mean, I care too much about my life to just want to take my own life. But if you choose to do so, hey, your decision. But police officers are in this damn if you do, damn if you don't way of society, and it's a shame. It's the type of thing that deters people to want to become police officers, because what's the point of doing it if you're going to be scrutinized regardless of whether you make a decision or not? What's the purpose of it? If there's a possibility that you can be ostracized and lose your career for doing so, what's the purpose of being a police officer? I don't get it. You know what I mean? So if we scroll down, as I will, it says Sean Bickings pleaded for help as he struggled to stay afloat in a reservoir. Oh, okay, it is a reservoir. Sorry, in Tempe, Arizona, late last month. But Tempe police officers watched without intervening as Bickings went underwater and did not come back up, according to city officials in a transcript of body camera footage. I'm going to drown, says Bickings, 34, according to a transcript of video from the May 28th incident released by city officials. Okay, I'm not jumping in after you, an officer identified as Officer 1 in the transcript said moments later after directing Bickings to grab onto a bridge. Please help me, Bickings said. Please, please, please. Yes, did Sean Bickings, was he taking that into consideration when he decided to jump and swim into the reservoir? Come on, dude, you decided to voluntarily take your own life. Why should a police officer risk his own life to try to save a life that never wanted to be saved in the first place? Sean Bickings put himself in that predicament. And so since he put himself in that predicament, then he deserves what came as a result of that. The police officer shouldn't have to be responsible for his welfare. He put his own welfare in danger. So because he put his own welfare in danger, then he should reap the consequences of doing so. So anyway, it goes off to say, soon after, Bickings drowned, according to a Friday news release by city officials. Now, 3 Tempe police officers have been put on non-disciplinary paid administrative leave, and as deserved. So basically, they're getting a vacation, and guess what? It's well deserved, because this man, Sean Bickings, decided to put his own life on the line, and by doing so, he wound up losing his life because of it. Hey, the man did it to himself. And it goes on to say that As the Arizona Department of Public Safety and the Scottsdale Police Department investigate the officer's response at the city of Tempe's request, city officials said the city has not released the names of the officers. In a statement, Police Chief Jeff Glover and City Manager Andrew Ching called Bicking's death a, quote, tragedy. Really? A tragedy for whom? I mean, I would really like to know, where's the tragedy? I mean, obviously, yes, a death occurred, but who ultimately was responsible for that death? Was it the police officers, or was it Sean Bickings? I mean, even Stevie Wonder could see who was at fault. However, because we live in America, and because this type of situation doesn't necessarily have to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, because this particular death doesn't have to, because the responsibility, I guess another way that I could put it is, because the responsibility of this death doesn't necessarily have to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt as far as who was truly responsible for it. The family can take the city to court and have the city pay millions of dollars, which, by the way, will be allocated through the taxpayers who are going to be responsible for paying this family millions of dollars, all because the proof of burden does not have to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt as far as responsibility of this man's death. Meaning that even though this man took the responsibility to take his own life, the family can easily state that the police still should have gone in and tried to rescue him, even though this man swam in deep enough to where even if the police officer chose to go after him, that there was no possible way that he would have been able to save the very person who foolishly decided to swim far deep into a reservoir that he could have easily drowned in. And the police officer has to take those things into effect. Okay? Is the reward, I mean, is the action of going after or going in and trying to rescue a man that is far deep into a reservoir, is the benefit of it risk? I mean, does it outweigh the risk of committing such an act? And in this case, the consequence of doing so would have outweighed the benefits of doing so. So because of that, the police officer decided not to go in, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him, but yet the family will find a way to use this as a cash grab to then force the city to pay millions of dollars to the family, even though it is not warranted. But this is why we live in the United States of America. Because even though this man ultimately was responsible for taking his own life, the city is still responsible for having to pay for his death. Maybe he had it all maybe had it in it all along for him to want to kill himself just so that his family could be taken care of. Amazing. What a loser. Sean Bickings is a loser. This man decided to take his own life. No one should be responsible for that other than Sean Bickings. But yet the police department is trying to call it a tragedy. I mean, I guess they're trying to make the case that the city somehow should be responsible for this man's act. What a mess. What a mess. Glover met with Bickings' mother last week, according to officials. The Tempe Officer Association, the City Police Union, did not immediately respond to a request for comment late Sunday. Yeah, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to conclude this by saying that this is the United States of America. We live in a free country, and we can freely decide to do things that we want to do at any given time. At any given time. All right? And one of those things even includes taking your own life. Yes, you have the right to take your own life. And if you want to do so, fine, but no one else should be responsible for it. All right? Not the city, not other individuals. No one should be responsible for the very act that you chose to commit on your own. And if it includes your own loss of life, then so be it. No one should have to take on the very brunt of your own actions. Everyone is responsible for their own actions. And I hope this is something that everyone can learn a lesson from. But ultimately, should the police be punished for this? Should a police officer be punished for this? Should anyone be punished for this, including the 3 officers that were involved in this? Absolutely not. And I hope they won't. But we live in a PC culture now where if you don't do specific things, or if you don't quote unquote do the very thing that everybody expects you to do, that you could be heavily scrutinized for it. And you could live a life of obscurity for it, where you have to live in a life of hiding because of the heavy scrutiny that you could be able to experience by not so-called doing the right thing. But doing the right thing also means doing the right thing within. If this person valued his life enough, he wouldn't have made this foolish act of wanting to go in and put himself in a situation where he could lose his life. It's his fault, not the police officers. But what do you guys think about the matter? Leave a comment in the comment section after you subscribe to my channel. Click the like button if you like the video. Share this video as I feel that this message should be what's the word that I'm looking for? This message should be massively shared, and subscribe to my channel as I will be able to provide content on the double. Also, when you subscribe to my channel, click on the notification button so that you'll be notified when new content from my channel drops. And with that being said, this is D Conservative, and I'm signing out. Have a blessed day, guys.